Eagle 95.1, WUPN, Paradise, Sault Ste. Marie.
It's time for The Game. Eagle 95.1 proudly brings you The Game, the Twin Sault's only regional and national sports show. For the next hour, we'll get an in-depth look at sports in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Algoma region. The Game on Eagle 95.1.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Game Sports Show, January 17th edition, live from Sportscenter Bar and Grill, the Wednesday edition of the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McCaig, alongside to my right, Justin Heichel, and alongside to my left, Dane. Dane?
Happy Hump Day, Dave.
Justin?
Yeah, it's almost Friday.
Almost Friday. And we got another show tomorrow, but just in case listeners need a little fresh reminder, we have our Monday show that's live on Eagle 95.1 with myself and Scott Notorious Nason. And on Wednesdays, we're still here at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, where it all started 3 years ago, where we have our famous In the Pocket segment. Plus, we talk basketball and plus other sports. But tonight, it's strictly just going to be In the Pocket for the show. Then on Thursdays, our new home to the Game Sports Show, another home for us, at Boston Pizza, where myself, Justin, and Dane talk local and professional hockey during the hockey season, and then when it is the season, we talk baseball. And that is the agenda for the Game Sports Show. So we are going to be at Boston Pizza tomorrow. We're here live right now at Sportscenter Bar and Grill for the famous 60-cent wing nights. And Monday, we had our show back started up this week at the Wicked Sister. But guys, we're here now. It's In the Pocket, and it's full swing for football in the playoffs. And myself, Dane Hantro, and In the Pocket creator, Dustin Grondin, had all of our teams eliminated this past weekend. And Dustin Grondin, who is not with us here tonight, he's with us in spirit. Mourning the loss of Dustin Grondin not being here tonight. Jamie Antonello, I did expect Jamie to show up to the show tonight, but last minute it seems like that he may not be showing up tonight to the show. If he does come on midway throughout the show, that is fine. Otherwise, it's just going to be us three for the next 45 to hour talking football. Now, obviously, Sportscenter Bar and Grill, being a sponsor of the Game Sports Show, I have mentioned Boston Pizza. I got other sponsors. We got numerous other sponsors, just like we have many analysts on our show. We have the Salon, North Shore Sports and Auto, Superior Pro Shop, Discover the Canvas here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and of course, the Wicked Sister and Pingator Cleaners in Sioux, Michigan. Guys, we kind of changed things around at the beginning of our show. We like to have an icebreaker conversation. That is on this show and on our Thursday show. And we're going to talk about what we have coming up for tomorrow, later on at the end of this show, what tomorrow brings. But today, we have an icebreaker conversation to begin the In the Pocket segment here today, and it is football related. Here's the question. Blake Bortles, is he the biggest beauty in football, or is he the biggest meathead in football? And yes, there is a difference. You could be a beauty in a good way, or you could just be a plain old meathead. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, yourself being the listeners, just look at some Barstool Sports videos. Let me give you a couple video updates. The first thing, there was a beautiful reporter who was in his home asking him what he does the first thing he gets up in the morning. He simply said the first thing he does when he gets up in the morning is, quote unquote, he takes a piss. Now, as accurate as that probably is, even for us three, pretty funny. The second thing, he said, what would he be doing if he wasn't playing football? He said he would probably be working construction and ripping cigarettes. Love it. My conversation piece, the icebreaker. What do you think of these comments? Is it for play, or is this guy being for real, Justin?
I just think he's having fun, enjoying the moment. I mean, I think there's a lot of guys in the NFL that I think take themselves, professional athletes all around, take themselves a little too seriously. This guy's just enjoying what he's got going on right now. And he's being honest. I mean, what do you guys do when you get up in the morning? Go to the can. And so maybe I'll scratch myself on the way there, but you know, like depends how detailed we're getting. But that's exactly it. That's, you know, if I could be a professional athlete, I would be. Otherwise, I'd probably just be me. Yeah, so I'm just me. Yeah.
You are just you, but I don't know if you would say those comments, though, Justin. Knowing you, I think you would probably be pretty professional with your comments.
No, but it's not like he's lining up for a big contract or anything right now. He's Blake Bortles going to play the Patriots this week. Let's let it happen. Like, I don't know. I'm a little astounded by the answers, to be totally honest, but good for him. That's
definitely caught me off guard, the question, but they're downright hilarious, man. But Dane, I think this guy can hang out in our group of friends and fit in perfectly fine.
I think he'd definitely fit in. One guy I don't think he would fit in with would be Bill Belichick, who usually drafts guys with high IQs there, and Blake Bortles just seems like a dude, you know what I mean? So it would be pretty funny if he does end up beating the Patriots this week. If I don't imagine Bill Belichick checks into Barstool too often there, so he probably hasn't seen it. But yeah, pretty funny. I like it,
It's pretty funny, and we like to do these icebreaker conversations, get the listeners kind of, laughing at the beginning, get the show eased into. We like to do that here on the Game Sports Show, try to keep it loose and fun while giving you the best up-to-date sports for the Twin Saults and Oklahoma region's only and best sports show. But guys, getting into now, as Scott said this Monday, a term that I like, getting into the meat and potatoes of the news right now. The main course. The main beginning portion of the begin in the pocket here.
Can I guess what it is? Is it Aaron Rodgers dating Danica Patrick? Is that the top headline for this week?
I like that. That actually wasn't, but we're going to add that headline out there. Is that Dane Hancho confirmed?
It is Danica Patrick confirmed, which I read today on online there. So
I like that. We're going to add that to the icebreaker conversation here today. That was a good piece. Dane, that's some valuable information that's much needed. I'll make sure never to message her on Twitter or Facebook to try to get in to meet her, take her on a date. Looks like I'm more available for other messages, though. But moving on, in the pocket, guys, we're going to talk about the games this week that just passed between the Falcons, Eagles, Patriots, Titans, Steelers, Jags, Vikings, Saints. And then we're going to take a break, and we're going to talk about the Final Four this week coming up. You got the Jags and the Patriots. Then you got the Vikings playing the Eagles. We're going to talk about that. So Final Four discussion. And then we have some news we're going to talk about with the Steelers firing the offensive coordinator. Thank God. Now we just need some defense. The Colts need a coach. Tennessee's coach resigning. Lions need a coach. And then we're going to close out talking about Johnny Manziel to the CFL. Yes, we're going to talk a little news about little Johnny Manziel and our thoughts about him going to the CFL. But guys, that's the agenda. We just had our icebreaker conversation. Like I said a minute or two ago, jumping into the meat and potatoes of the in the pocket, which means we're going to talk about the big games that happened this week. And we're going to start off with the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles. Much to Dane's shakes his head here to my left, still wearing his Atlanta Falcons hat with pride. Dane, your Eagles, they lost 15-10. Or sorry, your Falcons. Forgive me. I apologize there. Your Falcons losing, to the Eagles 15-10. To Nick Foles and the Philadelphia Eagles. What are your thoughts about this game? I know a couple words that might come to mind. One of them being horseshit. There's the word of the day. I'll let you get your thoughts about the game and just the overall perspective about the game before we go over to Justin to get his comments.
Well, I think I'm handling this loss a little bit better than last year's Super Bowl defeat. It was either Joe Buck or Troy Aikman brought up kind of a little fun fact. Every time there's a battle of the birds, whether it's the Cardinals, Eagles, Ravens, or Falcons, the home team is now 10-0 in those games during the playoffs there. So if it's the battle of the birds and it's a playoff game, and if you're hosting that game at home, it looks like you're probably going to win that game. One thing for my Falcons, the red zone has haunted them for, I can even go back to the NFC Championship when we lost against the 49ers. I think we were 1st and 6 there, ran the ball with Michael Turner a couple times, threw the ball, just could not punch it in, and yeah, we lost that game. And then again, we're 2 yards from winning the game. The play call, didn't like it. Apparently the Eagles defense was calling it out before it even happened. They were ready for it. You look, the whole defense ran to that one side of the field, and Julio couldn't just make the play and pick up the ball there. And so we're golfing now, so I'm used to it. Oilers, Falcons fan, nothing new.
Tough loss for sure for the Falcons. Justin, the Eagles though, Nick Foles coming out on top, where I tagged you both in a video on Facebook through Bleacher Report with the Gridiron Heights, where they had a little poke at Nick Foles, saying how where Sylvester Stallone even had a little peek and they said, this is supposed to be our year, man. And they're chirping Nick Foles, how he can't make a pass and everything. Nick Foles in this game, when he completed 23 of 30 passes, 246 yards, no touchdowns though, so he didn't have a 7-touchdown game where he tied the record. But the running game, Jai only had 54 yards. Running wasn't a huge part. Even catching, A'Shawn Jeffrey has 61 yards for the most yardage. At the end of the day, the Eagles came away with this win. And as they get deeper, though, it's probably going to get more challenging. Not saying the Falcons aren't challenging. They're a team that everyone picked to win that game.
One thing I want to say, I said if, the Falcons get 20 points or more, they're probably going to win the game. But the Eagles defense completely shut them down. There were so many little plays during the game that inevitably ended up, being the reason that they lost the game. Cannon Neal not being able to get that interception, taking it off the knee, getting the Eagles in the field goal position there to kick that field goal really, made the difference in the game. And there's just a bunch of little stuff that happened throughout the game. We couldn't capitalize. Every time we got close, into the Eagles, zone there. And yeah, typical Falcons there, close, but not close enough.
See, that's the Falcons' perspective. Heichel, give me the Eagles' perspective, how they were even to win this game without Carson Wentz, and also just your thoughts on the game.
So I don't know if I can give you an Eagles perspective, but I can give you my perspective.
That works. Yeah, I guess you could.
I mean, the Eagles defense won the game. They stepped up when the offense, not that the offense couldn't do it, but defense won that game for them. Atlanta's playbook hasn't evolved at all this year. It seems they came in week 1 with the playbook and they ended with the same playbook this week. Atlanta needs a Tony Gonzalez style tight end like Matt Ryan had a long time ago in his offense again. They're starving for that in the red zone. Austin Hooper is it Austin Hooper is his name? He just doesn't cut it. You need a big money tight end. If that's your issue, you need someone that's going to come in and solve that problem. Maybe grabbing a Martellus Bennett when he...
If you look at, if we still had Shanahan running the offense this year, what could have this year really looked like with how much our defense improved? And, getting a new offensive coordinator really, really hurt us this year. Our offense was nowhere near what it was, a year before. And our defense was the best defense I've seen the Atlanta Falcons have since I've been a fan. And you know what? We're still in a good position next year going in, and hopefully, next year we'll be able to, get better with the new offensive system there and kind of get back to where we were last year. But yeah, definitely disappointing. Only putting up 10 points against the Eagles. I know they have a great defense, but you got Matt Ryan, our running backs, Julio Jones, Sanu. There's no reason that we should have only got 10 points that game, and it's very disappointing.
Last thought with the Eagles Falcons here, Justin.
I was surprised that Atlanta came out that flat. They should be an offensive powerhouse. You have 2 excellent running backs. You got 2 of the best wide receivers in the league, at least 2 top 10 wide receivers as far as I'm concerned. Sanu is probably one of the most underrated second wide receivers in the league. You don't hear about him a lot, and he pretty well had a better year than Julio. And I had Julio in fantasy. He killed me. No touchdowns until the last 3 weeks of the year, last 3 games of the year. I don't know if Atlanta's they agreed they're keeping Sarkisian as their offensive coordinator this week. So if they can work through the kinks in the offseason, add in some plays, work with some stuff, see how it goes.
See, Dane, I know you got one more comment, and maybe to add to your comment that you're going to say. Big stat that points out to me, and we talked about this over lunch, myself, you, and Dustin, a couple of days ago. Devontae Freeman had 10 carries and 7 yards. And I'll let you say your comment there. I'm sure you have something to add with that too.
Yeah, no, that's the one thing I wanted to bring up is every time Coleman got a touch there, he was making big plays all game. And, like, I just don't see how you don't give that guy one touch when we're, 8 or 1st and 8, right at the end zone there, with, to win the game there. And you throw 4 passes there, barely get any yardage. And this didn't utilize Coleman enough that game. I find, like, most of the time, especially last year when one of those guys was hot, whether it was Freeman or Coleman, we went with one of those guys, and I just don't feel like Coleman should have got more touches that game. Freeman wasn't having a good game, and again, the Dome team coming into the cold stadium of Philadelphia. There, the field conditions weren't great. There was lots of wide receivers slipping or quarterbacks slipping, which really cost Atlanta. And you know what? You always hear Dome teams can't play, when it's cold outside in those big games, and you know what? It definitely costs us, I feel like.
You see, now the Eagles moving on to the AFC championship game as they will play the Minnesota Vikings, the team that's hosting the Super Bowl. Well, not the team, the city that is hosting the Super Bowl. Next game we're going to talk about before we take our break here, gentlemen, as we hold our nice Molson products in our hands while we discuss football here on the famous In the Pocket segment created by Dustin Grondin, who, as I mentioned, is not with us today, only in spirits. And Jamie Antonello, who we were expecting, has still not come in the door, so it may just be us 3 for the night, which is totally fine, obviously. But we're going to move on to the next game we're going to talk about here. And Justin, I'm going to let you start after my comments here. New England Patriots. 35-14 victory over the Tennessee Titans. Not surprised about the win in this game. Marcus Mariota, though, good stats to point out here. 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. 22 for 37 in passing. He also rushed for a team-leading 37 yards as well over Derrick Henry. Eric Decker had 85 yards receiving. This game seemed like the Tennessee Mariotas is kind of the slogan that was being used going into this game and throughout the playoffs, how they got to play the Patriots. Good on the Titans getting to where they did. It's a good step forward. Tom Brady, though, like the Patriots, winning 35-14. Tom Brady, 35-53, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns. Dion Lewis, 62 carries, just an absolute beast. Okay, even Tom Brady rushed for 2 yards. Okay, Danny Amendola, 112 yards. Gronk, 81 yards. Dion Lewis had 79 yards, and Braden Cooks only had 32. There's a guy who I thought would be their number 1 guy, especially with Edelman being not available the rest this year. All-around game, we knew who was going to come out on top, it seemed like, even from a professionally speaking. Got to say, give the kudos to Tennessee, but the Patriots were the favorite in this game. And then the favorite still. And we're going to get to the topic later if the Patriots are licking their chops the rest of this playoffs. But this game overall, what comments do you have about it? What pluses did you see from Tennessee? And what did you see from the Patriots that you liked, maybe that you haven't seen before, which I'm sure is not much. But
I was impressed that the Patriots defense was able to shut down Derrick Henry. That was a key for me. I thought Derrick Henry was going to be the TSN turning point coming into this game. I thought with New England's defense aging, not really being able to stop the run all year, I thought Derrick Henry was going to come in and eat him alive, and they managed to stop him. The rest of the game, I didn't really think... this is going to sound like the same old complaining about the Patriots stuff, but I really don't think the refs gave him a chance to play in the first quarter. I think they took Tennessee out of that game a little bit. New England knows how to overcome stuff like that. Tennessee's a young team. That gets in their heads. These kids... they just kind of seem to give up. Mariota didn't give up. He played a heck of a game. But the refereeing was a little suspicious to me, and that the timekeeping in New England, a couple extra Mississippis on their seconds up there. That's what I got.
See, the big thing is definitely people always complain about the Patriots being cheaters. And we say that from a professional aspect, saying that, you know what? It is a thing. They've been accused of lots. And this year, they did they did win against Pittsburgh on a game that I honestly think they should have lost. We know the Deflategate. We know a lot of things have come up, but the refs do seem to like Tom Brady a little bit more when they're in the game. The NFL protecting their baby. Dane, I'll get your comment on that, but first, your comments on the game.
It was like the one game that I didn't watch a whole lot of it, kind of figured what the outcome was going to be. At the end of the day, you're coming into Foxborough there. Patriots are going to their 7th consecutive AFC championship. Was Marcus Mariota and the Tennessee Titans going to be the team that was going to stop them from doing that? No, they weren't. You know what? At the end of the day, you're really going to have to ask a lot of, all the players on Tennessee. And you know what? Maybe, Brady throws a couple bad picks or bad throws and has a couple interceptions. That's, the only way I ever seen Tennessee win. It would have been like a miracle almost. No team goes into Boston in the playoff game against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots and have a very good shot at winning, especially a team like Tennessee. But that being said, good on Tennessee, making it that far this season. You know what? I definitely didn't have them up there. They were in a weak division this year. I didn't say they weren't going to make the playoffs, but I think, that team should be proud of themselves to, the point where they got and look forward to next year. Absolutely.
And I've always been, since I am an Oregon Duck fan, as you guys may have not have known, Mariota being a part of the Oregon Ducks, history. It's good to see an Oregon Duck succeeding. And Tennessee, Tennessee drafted him after. Well, they had no choice because Winston went to Tampa Bay. But definitely showing, especially this year, a lot of growth with that team overall. And we didn't expect the victory over New England, but you did do well, Tennessee, on the other side of that this season. So good job, Dave, saying that. Any comments to add, fellas, about maybe even Tom Brady being a little bit of a cheater or the league favoritizing Tom Brady, or do we dare get into that right now?
You know what? I think they've accomplished too much to even, put an asterisk on it. Spygate, yeah, that's going to give you some leverage on games, but Deflategate, they won that game 47-7 or 42-7. I think even one of the safeties or quarterbacks on the Colts even said it didn't matter if you're playing with a beach ball. We weren't winning that game. So yeah, you know what? They got caught and they got punished and they deserved it, but I don't know. I don't really think that's going to tarnish Brady's legacy too much. And not in my eyes anyways. They've just accomplished so much. So, yeah, you know what? It's easy to hate them. They are the evil empire and they win too much. But, no, I wouldn't say that they're cheat. The Spygate thing, yeah, but I don't know. I'm kind of indecisive on how I feel about it. But
it's definitely a hot topic to bring up. And, Justin, I'll get your comments quick before we take our break.
I think the cheating thing's getting a little old. I think we're all done with it. I mean, I'm a Colts fan, and I'm over hearing about the New England cheating thing. The NFL has one thing to hang their hat on right now, the season they've had this year, and it's the Patriots. The Patriots are the shining star of the league. They have to be around. No, whether they get a couple calls from the refs here and there, or whatever happens, it's the NFL. It's the same league we've been all watching for however many years. It is what it is. You know what? I still think there's 3 teams with spectacular defenses that are in the playoffs, and we got the Patriots.
The 3 best.
Yeah. And we know the Steelers aren't one of those teams that are left, but definitely didn't have a defense.
Well, just another thing I want to mention is, I'm one of those guys that love to see greatness. You know what I mean? Some people hate seeing a team win, every year after year after year, but you know what? We're in the moment where we get to watch Tom Brady potentially win his 6th Super Bowl this year, which is crazy to think about, especially in the NFL. The NFL, I think, is the hardest league out of the 4 professional sports leagues in North America to be able to consistently win like that every year. And going to your 7th consecutive NFC championship and the guy's 40 or almost 40 right now is unheard of.
It is definitely insane. It is insane.
Just a testament to I hate the Patriots. I have to say that before I make this statement. But just a testament to how good they are is that the Jags won 4 games last year. And they're playing in the AFC Championship game this year.
Fournette, Leonard Fournette.
That's the way,
defense.
That's the way of life in the NFL. You're hot and you're not. And the Patriots have somehow managed to just be around.
How many people picked the Bills, the Titans, and the Jags to be in the postseason this year?
I would love to see who did, because you're lying if you said that, in my opinion, unless you got those bets in Vegas on paper. Guys, we're going to take a quick break, sip on these Molson products. When we come back, Jacksonville Jaguars Steelers game. I'm kind of going to start that conversation off right as soon as we come back from break. And then we got New Orleans and Minnesota. And there was a spectacular catch / the worst tackle I may have ever seen attempted. I don't know. Maybe that's up there too. But when we come back, Justin, Dane, and myself talking the other two games here on the Game Sports Show, live from Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Be right back.
The Mr. Electric Avenue segment brought to you by Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street, West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. You can't miss SportsCenter's famous Monday, Wednesday, 60-cent wing nights. SportsCenter Bar and Grill. Great atmosphere, great food, great cold beverages available, and great service. The home to the Mr. Electric Avenue segment. SportsCenter Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
Get wicked at the Wicked Sister. You'll find the best tasting food for the whole family. Start off with some appetizers like the crab dip, served with warm naan bread strips and soft pretzel bites, or their antibiotic and hormone-free boneless chicken wings with 5 choices of sauces. Entrees include the barbecue pulled pork sandwich, the #1 selling drunken cow burger, or Philly cheesesteaks, and they're on special all day Thursdays. The Wicked Sister also offers a gluten-free menu and catering. Bring the whole family. The Wicked Sister, downtown Ashman Street, open 7 days a week.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McCaig, alongside Dane Hancho, Justin Heichel. We're here with the In the Pocket segment, the famous In the Pocket segment here. And In the Pocket, the season's again coming to a close, but we still got some games to talk about from last week. We still got the Final Four to talk about, and we still have the Super Bowl. We still got a good amount of In the Pocket left. You know, we're back here at SportsCenter. One thing I should include, it's the first time since our Christmas break, where we had a Christmas break on December the 18th. It's been 1 month. We've been absent from SportsCenter Bar and Grill. We know the listeners have been eager to have In the Pocket back here. You know, we didn't have our agreement start again until this week here at SportsCenter Bar and Grill, so hopefully that answers all the questions out there why In the Pocket was quite delayed. And we've had another show launched last week, or a couple weeks ago, with Boston Pizza. And we had, you know, a lot of things going on. Christmas break, New Year's break. So we do want to catch up with all these games, but we're not talking about all the games led up to the games this past week. We're just talking about the games that just happened and moving forward just for length of show purposes. Like I said, it's Dave alongside Dane and Justin on In the Pocket here, continuing our discussion about last week's games. Fellas, I got a game I got to talk about here. Everyone knows out there what kind of team I cheer for. Winning teams. Just kidding. The Pittsburgh Steelers, after a 13-4 season, have a disappointing loss against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not because of Jacksonville's talent. Jacksonville has one of, if not the, best defense in the NFL this year. It's called the Pittsburgh Steelers' non-existent defense, losing 45-42. Leonard Fournette ran for 109 yards and 3 touchdowns. Blake Bortles, the guy we talked about at the beginning of the show, 14 for 26, 1 touchdown, 214 yards. You know, you had TJ Yeldon, who had 57 yards receiving and 20 yards rushing. Tommy Barone, is the guy who got the touchdown, 14 yards. You know, it wasn't the passing game that won this game for the Jaguars. It was two things. Leonard Fournette and Leonard Fournette's other counterpart, TJ Yeldon, who had a big side as well as Leonard Fournette had to leave the game briefly there. Yeldon subbed in nicely. Not Jacksonville's defense. For Pittsburgh to put up 42 points on Jacksonville's defense is quite impressive. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger throws for 37-58, 469 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Le'Veon Bell runs for a TD and 67 yards. Hey, Big Ben even had 16 yards rushing. And Antonio Brown had 152 yards with 2 touchdowns. Vance McDonald, 112 yards. And Le'Veon Bell, 88 yards receiving. Martavis Bryant, 78 with a touchdown. Eli Rogers with 42 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster only had 5 yards and a touchdown, which is kind of a big stat to me. That would have been a turning point as well. Receiving and offense was not really a problem in this game in terms of getting it. It was stopping the football, and it was some of the calls from the offensive coordinator, who is no longer with the Pittsburgh Steelers as well, but we'll get to that after our break. Pittsburgh losing this game was something that nobody expected. They did lose to Jacksonville in Week 5. People may have given Jacksonville more of a fair shake against the Steelers. Well, if you don't believe in the Jacksonville Jaguars, you better believe in them right now, especially with this running game and this defense. Pittsburgh losing this week, so heartbreaking. Especially that I thought this was the year that they would beat the Patriots and go to the Super Bowl in Minnesota this year and win. But that's not happening. Pittsburgh Steelers are done. and the Jacksonville Jaguars are moving on. Kudos to Jacksonville. Kudos to my Steelers offensive players, Roethlisberger and those guys. They battled to the final there. The defense, thumbs down majorly. That was the worst defensive showing I've seen. That's like every touch Jacksonville had the ball, they got a touchdown. Just non-existent. Ugh, I could just rant on for minutes. But Justin, I'm going to go to you about this game. Comments?
I don't think it's that surprising that the Steelers lost. I don't think it's a surprise at all. The Steelers... This is how Jacksonville plays. We're going to run the ball down your throat. We got a defense that can stop you. Now manage your clock and see if you can win. And the Steelers have been notoriously bad at clock management. Notoriously bad. That's why you see all these reports this week of of management and shareholders wanting a coaching change. It's not the offensive coordinator that they wanted to get rid of. Like, that's not what they were looking for. The reason that this offense blew up in the last 2 or 3 years again is because Todd Haley came back because Roethlisberger was thinking about leaving because he needed his offensive coordinator again. And instead, the Steelers have started to self-implode from the inside again.
You get that far in the playoffs and out of the season that you have, can you really fire Tomlin? I feel like you can't justify that. So I think Haley, suffered because of that due to the fact that, how do you justify that?
Here's what I don't understand. And guys, you can say this. Coming from more so a coaching end, Justin, maybe you can answer. Yourself, Dane, you played in high school. Me, I'm more of just an expert watching the game. It's so, correct me if I'm wrong. Steelers, when they onside a kick, they almost did get the ball. Yes, they almost got the ball. But in their position, they didn't trust in their defense, but they should have kicked it all the way down the field because they did get a 4-and-out on that onside kick. Sorry, not a 3-and-out because then the Jaguars kicked a field goal. They should have kicked it down the field, trusted their defense to make up for it, gotten better field position for Ben Roethlisberger to maybe even go for a field goal to tie the game, or to even get a touchdown because that offense was not getting stopped for Pittsburgh for some reason. I think they should have trusted in that. Then some fourth down play calls. Passing when should have run. Kicking a field goal. Punting it. Some of the calls that were made, there's some calls that were a turning point. I refer back to a regular season game where I watched at Ford Field. The Lions went for it on fourth down twice. Both of them led to touchdowns. One led to Juju Smith-Schuster's 97-yard reception that won the game for Pittsburgh. Matt Prater got all the field goals against the Steelers. That was the only Lions points. My point is revolving around this. The play calls that were down for the onside kick, even though they almost did get it, I think they should have kicked it down the field, and some fourth down calls. Some coaching calls are quite debatable for a team that's very experienced. I'm not sure if Big Ben had a lot to say behind that, or if he just went with what the coaches were saying. I believe that maybe Ben should have called an audible for a lot of those things, but that play calls were silly against the Jags, who were absolutely tearing apart this defense.
Big Ben came out and said he wasn't allowed to audible. So there's that as well. But I feel at the end of the day, the NFL is a results-driven business. Steelers made it to the AFC Championship game last year. They took a step back this year. I mean, the Steelers weren't good enough to walk away from Bruce Arians as an offensive coordinator who then became a head coach. Sometimes you just got to switch it up. If this is going to be the thing that makes Big Ben say, I want to retire, then so be it. But this didn't work. And it imploded in a bad way at the worst time, to me. That just seems like a team that overcame a lot this year and still pulled it out and, made the playoffs, came through, second round. It just seems like a bad way to go. Not that Jacksonville's a bad team by any means, but they're not great. Like, if you made it to the AFC title game last year, you should have some clock management skills to be able to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars run game. That's
the thing. Dane?
I disagree with the play call at the end of the game. The only reason it was a 4-and-out is because they were in field position to kick a field goal. I think it would have been a different game plan if they did kick the ball. They probably would have tried to get a first down there. I don't know how you trust a defense. I don't know how many punts that they got that game, but not too many. If the Jacksonville Jaguars put up 45 points or whatever, it was 42 or 45 at the time, you can't trust your defense at that point. I know the success rate of an onside kick is, little to none, but I think you have to go for it because they get one first down and the game's done. And like I said, yeah, they did get the 4 and out, but I think they ran the ball, 3 times in a row there? They weren't throwing the ball there. Blake Bortles isn't throwing the ball in that position. And if you do kick the ball and they don't get that, maybe it is like a 3rd and 8 or situation where they need to get that first down to close out the game. Maybe they make Blake Bortles throw the ball. I would trust my defense more in that situation than anything. Like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I don't mind the onside kick. Obviously, it did be, it ended up being the definitive ending of the game because they did get that field goal. But, the defense didn't play good. All over the place. Like, just it was a crazy game. And you know what? You can say some of the play calls are bad, but Ben still threw 60-yard bombs on 4th and 10 to get touchdowns to Antonio Brown. And I don't know. The game was all over the place. I found most of the games this week, especially the Falcons game, was like that. The play calls, if you're going to relate to any 2 games this week, the Falcons game and the Steelers game, the play calls just seemed all over the place, kind of sloppy games. And I don't know. This didn't really look like a playoff kind of game where teams have already played, 18 games at this point of the season. It just looked like, almost like the first game of the season in a sense like that.
Now, Jacksonville Jaguars, quickly going to them before we go to our next game, before we take our final break. Jacksonville fans saying we want Brady. They got him. It's kind of like what Ramsey told to the Pittsburgh media. He told them to tell the Steelers to be careful what they wish for. The Steelers wanted the Jags. I'm sure they would rather have the Buffalo Bills, especially because they're sitting at home right now with their feet up, packing their gear home. Jacksonville wins this game. They're going against the Patriots, and we're going to talk about the Final Four when we come back. But after we talk about the next game, when we come back from our next break. But Jacksonville, running game was superior. Are they showing a side that we can be convinced here by beating Pittsburgh, or is this a one-time thing where you're going to see Fournette getting 3 touchdowns and the defense will not let 42 points in? I don't think, again, this defense hasn't done that all year. Will it be a different game against the Patriots that we've seen against Pittsburgh, or has this game a little bit of a fluke going forward, or is Jacksonville for real?
I think this game, it's yeah, it's a very interesting matchup because Belichick's so cerebral. His entire game plan, he doesn't have a generic game plan that he slaps down and this is what we're doing this week. He's got a game plan for every team, every week, every scenario. This is a very interesting game. The Patriots matchups are going to be changing up all over the place all game. I don't know.
For sure going to be alternate. I think you have to take a different approach than what they did against the Steelers because you won't be playing as boo-booed of a defense as Pittsburgh was, who was out without Ryan Shazier as well. Big loss in that back end for sure, but not an excuse to lose and put up that many points.
Well, I think, if you look at Jacksonville, have they overachieved? You can say that in a sense. They are in the AFC Championship, but what does Jacksonville really have to lose? They're going to be a good team again next year. The Patriots, want to build on that legacy that they've been building, for the past, 18 seasons or whatever it is since Brady's been the starting quarterback there. I think, the mentality that Jacksonville has to have is just go into that game, play your game. It's the Patriots, you know what I mean? Everybody's doubting them. Just go play your game. I can't see that defense getting pounded like they did against Pittsburgh. They're too good. That being said, is Tom Brady the one guy that could do that to them? Of course he is, but you know what I mean? I think if Fournette can, get a bunch of touches, run the ball, get a bunch of first downs, run off a lot of clock, I think that offense has to spend as much time on the field as possible, as in the Jags offense, to keep Brady off the field. Patriots don't have a good defense. Run that ball, run a lot of clock, make sure Brady's not out there, for that long to be able to keep on putting up a bunch of touchdowns. And I think it's going to be a close game. I do think the Patriots will win, but see about a 20 to 20, 24 to 20 kind of game. It's not going to be a blowout kind of game with 800 touchdowns like they had last week.
No, and we're going to talk more about the Jags Patriots briefly after we talk about the next game we're going to talk about. Minnesota Vikings, New Orleans Saints. Got a couple minutes here, fellas, to talk about it. Wow. Too bad Dustin's not here to express his disbelief. He had many points to argue, not against his Saints, but of how that game was and how upsetting of a finish. And we saw all the memes on Facebook. We saw all the memes on Instagram, social media, about the guy who fainted watching the game at that bar in New Orleans. All the pictures on Facebook, and the Stone Cold Stunner was given to Williams while Diggs went around him. Hulk Hogan leg drop. The Olay red towel that Bulls go through with that thing. Oh, the memes just absolutely be insane. Williams, who was a rookie, went for the big hit takedown or something there where he could have just stopped and hugged the guy and took him in bounds or did something different. But when you're in that moment, it's different. He wasn't even close to the tackle, though, at the end of the day. The Minnesota Vikings coming out on top against the New Orleans Saints, 29-24 for the Vikings. On the Saints side, Drew Brees threw 2 interceptions, 3 touchdowns, 294 yards. Kamara only ran for 43 yards, which was a slow game for Alvin Kamara. Michael Thomas had 2 touchdowns and 85 yards. Jin Jr. had 72 yards. Kamara, though, had 62 yards receiving and a touchdown, so more on the receiving side of the game. And on the Vikings side, you got Case Keenum. God, that guy's been making his destiny so far this year. 1 INT, 318 yards, 1 touchdown. Latavius Murray with a touchdown, 50 yards. Jerick McKinnon for 34. Get this, Stephon Diggs, game-winning touchdown, 137 yards in the game. And Adam Thielen was feeling it with 74 yards as well. So their offense for the Saints and Vikings so back and forth. And as you said, Dane, that final 3 minutes of football is one of the best football that we've watched in recent history. Or Diggs getting that catch. We'll quickly get your thoughts on it. Quickly get your thoughts just before we take our break because we're getting eaten up for time. What's your take on this game? The only thing I can say is surprised and shocked, insane. But
you know what? I'm happy for Vikings fans. I think it's a long time coming. I don't think that, they're not quite like the Cubs, 100 years without winning, a World Series there. But, I think it was time. They've had so many heartbreaking defeats in the playoffs, and it almost looked like another one. Diggs got that first catch, when there was 25 seconds left in the game. Got to him at the 30-yard line or the 40-yard line almost. And their only chance to win the game is to set up a field goal from, probably 50-plus yards away, which is, typical Vikings fashion, how they lose every game. And it's crazy because as soon as Diggs caught that ball, I thought he was going to turn around and run out of bounds. But just the fact that he realized that no one was behind him and ran into the end zone, I was screaming at the TV, get out of bounds, and then he just ran it in for a touchdown. It's just one of the most unbelievable last 3-4 minutes of a game I've ever seen. I don't know how many lead changes there was, but yeah, heartbreaking for the Saints. You come back after being 17 points down with only 12 minutes left to go, and then the game ends like that. But yeah, gotta love it. I think it's destiny for the Vikings there. And what? How fitting would it be after all the bad playoff losses that they had to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl?
Is that your prediction? Your early prediction? Spoiler?
I'm going against the Patriots, which I know is you never do that. But yeah, Vikings are gonna win the Super Bowl this year. That's what I'm going.
Early call before we even talk about it. Early call. Case Keenum. If you would have said Case Keenum was going to be playing in the AFC Championship, NFC Championship.
Chase Keenum and Foles would be the last 3 quarterbacks playing Tom Brady in the 2 championship games. I
definitely did not think that, but hey, the Vikings are moving on. Justin, get your quick points on the Vikings and Saints. Like I said, the final 3 minutes are what everyone's talking about in those memes, but your take on the game, Case Keenum and the Vikings, Drew Brees and the Saints. He's coming back next year, Drew Brees. He's not going anywhere. He's going to re-sign in New Orleans. We're going to get to that later as well. But Vikings, Justin.
If there's anything I've learned so far up to this point in the NFL is that you don't need to spend $25 million on a quarterback to win.
Bortles, Keenum, and Foles, I don't think are a total of $25 million. They might be close because of Foles, but
contract getting drafted in the top 10, but the other 2 definitely.
No.
Foles was going to retire this year. I believe Keenum was cut by Houston. So like we said earlier, pregame, both these guys exist in the NFL right now because Sam Bradford's knees can't hold up. They're in their respective positions, Nick Foles and Case Keenum, because Sam Bradford's knees suck.
Former first overall pick, Sam Bradford.
Yeah, so hopefully he's using some of that paycheck to pay these guys. You're going to help me out with a Super Bowl ring here. That'd be great. But back to the game. I mean, even like when Diggs caught that ball, if you watch the video, you see him look up at the screen and then the Jets just come on and he goes. Like, that was one of the greatest things. Like, this is why we watch sports. You know what I mean? Like, we complain 90% of the time that we didn't like something, and then something like this happens and we talk about it for months. It's crazy. I'm just happy. It's one of those things. It's nuts. I'm happy that I watched it.
I was in complete shock watching at work. Yes, I'm going to admit here on radio, streaming it at work, and I'll tell you, my jaw dropped. As not an individual who cheers for the Saints, as a fan of the sport, but you have to respect and love the sport when this kind of stuff happens. And these moments, you'll see that on highlight reels when we're old and gray, Justin. We're going to be watching that with our kids' if we even get to that point in our lives. But watching it say, we saw this game. And you know what? Case Keenum making a case, pun intended, that he is definitely worthy of a starting quarterback conversation next year with the Vikings. They move on to play against the Eagles in the championship. Will they go on against Tom Brady? Well, you're going to get our insider on that. And will it be Tom Brady even? Or will it be Blake Bortles? Who knows? Justin, Dane, and I are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to spend the last 7 minutes of the show talking about the Final Four and some NFL news, wrapping up in the pocket. Right back here at SportsCenter. Don't touch that dial.
The Mr. Electric Avenue segment brought to you by Sportscenter Bar and Grill. Sportscenter Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. You can't miss SportsCenter's famous Monday, Wednesday, 60-cent wing nights. SportsCenter Bar and Grill, great atmosphere, great food, great cold beverages available, and great service. The home to the Mr. Electric Avenue segment. SportsCenter Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar. The Mr. Electric Avenue segment would also like to thank its additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, located on 30 Calboogie Road in Echo Bay, Ontario. Ran and operated by Ryan Jordan Roquetta. North Shore Sports and Auto, meet all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Would also like to thank The Salon, located on 587 Second Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. The Salon, making the soup beautiful, one haircut at a time. Would also like to thank the Superior Pro Shop, located in the Superior Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. For over 40 years, the Superior Pro Shop meeting all of your skate sharpening, skate repairs, and hockey needs. The Mr. Electric Avenue segment would also like to thank its additional sponsors. The Salon, located on 587 Second Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. The Salon, making the soup beautiful, one haircut at a time. Also, special thanks to the Superior Pro Shop, located in the Superior Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Superior Pro Shop for over 40 years, meeting all your skate sharpening needs, repairs, and hockey needs.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McCaig, alongside Justin and Dane. We've been here at SportsCenter Bar and Grill. They're famous Wednesday 60-cent wing nights. You know, they got lots of specials here and a lot of great Molson products on tap. And it's home to the famous In the Pocket segment, portion of this Game Sports Show. And Dane, Justin, we've talked a lot about the show so far. We had our icebreaker conversation with Blake Bortles. We had our Falcons-Eagles discussion. Sorry, Dane. Patriots-Titans talk. Steelers-Jags. Ouch. Vikings and Saints. One of the best finishes in football. I know there's a lot of good finishes in football, but that's definitely up there.
Only walk-off game-winning touchdown in the history of the NFL.
The good point from Justin there. Like that. Guys, now we're going to talk about the Final Four, and we're going to jump in quickly just to the Jags and Patriots. Dane, you already put your sense in on the previous segment in terms of the Jags, and we were talking about the Steelers and Jags there. Tom Brady against Blake Bortles. I'm laughing. I'm sorry. Blake. Maybe I'm being a little bit too much of a hater towards you with that. I'm not laughing at you. I promise. Respect getting there. I feel like saying Jacksonville's defense and Leonard Fournette against Tom Brady and the Patriots and Bill Belichick, but end of the day, this game, Jacksonville's might make things interesting, or this might be a game where Tom Brady licks his chops for an easy walk to the Super Bowl. It's going to go either way, obviously. Dane, your points quickly. Justin, and then I'll go to you. Then I'll close off the points before going on to the next game between the Eagles and the Vikings.
Yeah, like I don't think, Blake Bortles doesn't have to beat the Patriots. I think, the running game has to be solid and the defense has to come up big. I think if he just, clock management's going to be a big thing in that game. And I think if he can, take care of the ball, get a couple first downs for his team and, just don't have too many turnovers. Because if you turn the ball over against the Patriots, Tom Brady's going to torch you. I actually do think the Jags are kind of that team that is built to beat the Patriots. Solid defense, great run game. And, those are the two things that you need to beat the Patriots. You're not going to have, a shootout, quarterbacks throwing 4 touchdowns each. And you're not going to beat Tom Brady that way. So I think, you know what? I do ultimately think the Patriots will win again. But I think, the Jags, don't count them out. I think they got a pretty good chance.
Justin?
I'm taking the Jags in this one just out of spite. I mean, factually, I think the Jags defense is far superior to anything the Patriots have to offer. And Fournette just running the ball down their throat. Like the Patriots are going to have to make up for some lost time. If the Jags can get out ahead and score and get the Patriots playing from behind, I think that gives them an edge.
They would. And the big thing is, Dana, I kind of want to add to this note, is they're not going to beat Tom Brady in a shootout. Blake Bortles is not going to beat Tom Brady in a passing game, I don't think. Don't get me wrong, Lewis running for the Patriots had a good job running and receiving for the Patriots, but I think if Bortles sticks to a plan simple of making short passes, quick slants, getting those first downs, and then giving the ball to Fournette or even Yeldon, the guy has enough ability to make something happen out there. To potentially, even Blake to rush a couple yards to gain some yards if you want. That small ball is what's going to have a chance offensively against the Patriots. And then when you give the ball to Fournette, that's your hope. That's the guy you're going to trust your O-line to make holes and let Fournette, who's an absolute beast, who I want to kind of toot my own horn with saying, I drafted this guy second round in fantasy. I did draft Zeke first. But Fournette believing in this guy. And this guy is going to be a runner-up, I think, for Rookie of the Year, where I think if he wasn't hurt, he might have had a chance to win it. Kamara is definitely the guy who's the favorite to win it. But trust in this guy to run the football. His anchor's been kind of issues, but that's been rehabilitated. Apparently he's been fine at practice. You're going to win against the Patriots doing that small ball. Not this gunslinger, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees kind of game. Tom Brady will absolutely eat Jacksonville, even their good defense, alive if they have a battle for battle back, because all you're going to do is Blake Bortles is going to interception after interception if he has those deep balls. Small ball, quick slants, give the ball to Fournette.
I think the biggest thing, if they can set the tone with the run game early on, that's going to open up a lot of stuff for the play action, and that's definitely going to help Bortles out. If they're going to be playing, rush coverages there, get a couple play action going. And like I said, he doesn't have to make the big plays. Just make a couple good 10-yard passes there, like that one touchdown he got against the Steelers last week to their tight end or whatever. There was huge, clutch. You know what I mean? So, you know what? Same game plan pretty much that they went into playing the Steelers. Hopefully they don't give up 42 points again, which I was very surprised about. But, yeah, like I said, I like their chances.
Justin, to top this up before we go talk about the Eagles and Vikings.
Oh, I got nothing.
That's basically it. You're agreeing all around. I like that. Small ball will beat the Patriots. But will they beat the Patriots? We're going to go around the table here to say the team that you think is winning this game between the Patriots and Jags. Justin?
Jags.
I got to take the Patriots.
I'm going to go with you, Justin. I don't know why. I'm going to do it. If I'm a betting man, I'd probably go danger out. But you know what? Even though they beat my Steelers last week, go Jacksonville. Get rid of Tom Brady. That 6 ring's not going on that finger ever. I just said that. Moving on, guys. Vikings, Eagles. I'm actually excited for this game. Case Keenum, Nick Foles, Diggs versus Ashawn Jeffrey, former Bear. Cinderella game. I know the Eagles division champs, but when they lost Carson Wentz, people crossed them off the list. No one believed in the Eagles. They thought the Falcons were going to come in there and absolutely destroy them. They thought it was just going to be an absolute spiral going downhill. But obviously they squeaked out a win against the Falcons and shut them down on the offensive side of the ball. Dane, Eagles, Vikings. What's your insight? What's the keys to this game for you?
I think it's going to be a really low-scoring game. You got the two best defenses in the NFL there. Yeah, I think I go back to the run game there. I think the Vikings definitely have a little bit more talent when it comes to throwing the ball with Chase Keenum. I do like the Vikings. They're still kind of they're a dome team too. So you know what, if the weather conditions are bad in Philadelphia, I think definitely gives helps out the Eagles a lot more. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a team of destiny after that game against the Saints. Like, it'd just be, I don't know, it'd be even more heartbreaking for Vikings fans to see them not at least go to the Super Bowl and, be at home for, the first time that team has ever been in the Super Bowl and hosting it at the same time. So I'm going Vikings, Patriots, Super Bowl.
There's your prediction and your insight. Justin, insight on the Saints. Sorry, Saints fans. On the Vikings and Eagles.
I agree with Dane totally. I think it's going to be a real defensive game. Probably like maybe 20 total points in this game. I think Minnesota's got the edge in that they lost their quarterback and were written off earlier in the season than Philly, so they've been playing through adversity a little longer, and I think they're going to keep rolling now that they're one win away from playing the Super Bowl at home. I think Philly's going to run out of steam. I think they've been rolling on luck a little bit last. Their defense carried them a little bit there last weekend. And I think Minnesota is built to take advantage of that.
Absolutely. So you obviously got the Vikings coming on top. I want to add a quick comment with it. I think this will be kind of a game where Case Keenum really tests his arm and throws the ball more. But the key of this game, if you're on the Vikings side, is yes, defense is obvious. But obviously Latavius Murray, kind of a obvious kind of thing to say, but I feel like if he can get down and weaken the defense on the ground, it can expose Case Keenum to be able to throw the ball. If they think they're going to hand the ball, I feel like Diggs will be that guy who'll be his primary target. Now, if you're the Eagles, Nick Foles is going to have to try to keep up with Case Keenum's throwing. And we know, Nick Foles threw 7 touchdowns in a game. He has Ashawn Jeffrey. He has somebody who can throw the ball to. But on the running side of the game, was Ajayi, if he wakes up and plays where everyone predicted him to be this year, that is the guy that's going to win the game. So I think it's going to be the tail of the running backs going into this and the tail of the defense. Those are the 2 points.
The trenches, the Eagles have the best D-line in the NFL, and if they can get to Chase Keenum a lot, stop the run, like Nick Foles can put up a couple points, get a touchdown or two there. Like I said, I think it's going to be a real low-scoring game. I don't see Chase Keenum throwing bombs like he did in his indoor stadium there, like he is going in Philadelphia there. That being said, he has two great wide receivers that he can feed the ball to. So we'll see. It's an exciting matchup. I think both teams are very good, and it's going to be a really close game. Definitely,
and I'm going to go the route of picking the Vikings going on to the Super Bowl against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Everyone's rolling their eyes. I know people are thinking, why not say the Patriots? If I was a betting man, what I'd probably say, but you know what? I'm going with the gut on this one. Don't let me down. Leonard Fournette. You realize I didn't say Blake Bortles there. Guys, a couple more points before we wrap up the In the Pocket segment. We are only talking football today, Dane, Justin, and myself. Usually on this part of the show on Wednesdays, we talk basketball, we talk variety of sports, even talk a little wrestling. But today we only have an hour, and there's a lot of football discussion, so we're strictly going to stick to In the Pocket. A couple news that I want to bring out. The Steelers fighting. Sure, they're probably fighting them outside for sure, but firing their offensive coordinator, not relieving Mike Tomlin of his duties. The offensive coordinator getting relieved, which I was not surprised. I feel that the offense wasn't the problem, just some of the play calls, and there's some change. I think they're trying to shake things up in there. Now, will this allow Ben Roethlisberger to be like, hey, you know what? He has said that he wants to play more. Now with this the offensive coordinator potentially coming in, will Roethlisberger have a lot to do to make sure he drives this guy? It'll be good to see. And Ben, hopefully you come back for at least one more year. You showed that last game that you still got some arm left in you, even though you've gained some weight over the past 3 years. That comes with age. Trust me, all of us at this table since our athletic days, we've definitely gained the weight, especially with these Molson products. Moving from that, coaching staff. I didn't get Justin's take on the coaching side of things for the Colts. What you feel you guys are going to go down? The Lions need a coach. I know they are in the trenches looking. I think the Lions should also be focusing on a running game that they need to get. I know Lions fans out there, you know what? Yes, you need a coach. You need someone who's good at the helm. But you got Matt Stafford. You don't have a running back. You've never had a running back that I can remember for years. For years, since the 90s, you haven't had a running back. It's time to bring in a running back. I think that should be the Lions' prime concern, bringing a coach and a running back. Then you might have a chance to compete higher up in the division, but don't forget Aaron Rodgers, as long as he doesn't go on waivers. That is a thing. I'm not sure if Justin knew about that, but due to Aaron Rodgers' circumstances being put back on the injured reserve for the same injury that to be taken off, as per the NFL rules, you are to be go on waivers. I like to see how the Green Bay Packers get out of that helm, because I know what team would pick up Aaron Rodgers. Cleveland Browns. Imagine that. Imagine that turn of events. Imagine if Aaron Rodgers went on waivers and got claimed by the Cleveland Browns. I know we're speaking Fantasyland. It's not going to happen. Aaron Rodgers will remain in Green Bay. Things will work out in this. Yada, yada, yada. But let's be fun about this. Aaron Rodgers in a Cleveland Brown jersey throwing the ball to Josh Gordon. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I'm afraid as a Steeler fan, first off, though that wouldn't be good for the Steelers. But at the end of the day, the Lions, if they want to compete in that division, they got to make that running game improve and maybe add to the defensive side. Tennessee's coach, Mike Mularkey, resigns, parts ways after saying he was going to re-sign. Dane, I'm going to get your point on this, quickly what you feel about this, and then I'm going to go over to Justin and talk about the Colts' kind of needs with the coaching staff before we go to our last topic for a break. Surprised about Tennessee's coach getting let go?
Really, I kind of read a little article there, and I guess it was just kind of on a disagreement on the future of the team. That's kind of all it was. I think they wanted to keep him, but he kind of had a different game plan on where the team should be headed in this following off season and for the next years to come, and he didn't agree with it, so they cut ties. That's pretty much it.
That's definitely good straight points. A lot of coaching changes are going to be this year. I know McDaniels is a favorite for a lot of teams. I think you're going to touch on that here, Justin. Let's talk about the coaching staff alterations for the Colts.
Well, I guess the going rumor this week is that he's our new head coach, but and last week there was a going rumor that we were hiring a what university was it? But he won one game. It was a one-game winning, university coach that we interviewed last week that was going to be our new head coach. And this weekend they're saying it's going to be McDaniels. So, we'll see. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I think that's the going rumor for 3 or 4 other teams at the same time. So
Lions being one of them as well. And the Lions, Colts, all this off-season discussion we will not be talking about much till the off-season. We have special editions of the In the Pocket segment throughout the off-season. It can be interesting to see with all these coaching alterations. I don't think you're going to see Harbaugh coming back to the NFL. Nah, jokes aside. Last point before we close up the show, fellas. Johnny Manziel, Money Fingers, going to bring his fingertips to the CFL. Not confirmed. Not saying that's happening, but it's pretty much a certainty almost. Seems like the Hamilton Tiger Cats are the team. Justin, you and I have talked. Maybe the Argos should let Grey Cup winning Ricky Ray go and bring in Johnny Manziel. Kind of a silly comment to say. Maybe the Montreal Alouettes. But it seems like Hamilton's going to be the team that Manziel go to. Get you guys quick points on how it would be to have Manziel in the CFL.
I mean, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer for the CFL right now. And people that are general fans of football are sick of, the nonsense that went on early on in the NFL this year. I mean, I'm not saying nonsense to, take away from some of the stuff that happened, but as a fan of the game, there was more focus on the politics of what was going on in the league and less focus on the actual game of football. So the CFL is going to use Manziel as a bit of a ploy to draw in some American fans and maybe see what they can do this year.
Absolutely. Dane, quickly on your points.
Yeah, I just think it's just good for the CFL overall, Johnny Manziel brings, people to games. He's just that kind of guy. That being said, the Ticats own his rights. Apparently he wants big money. He wants to be like one of the highest paid players in the CFL. I don't think he's really proven himself to, deserve that money. He wants to start, so I guess that's kind of why it hasn't been official yet. But he has nowhere else to be, I suppose, so I do foresee him being the Ticats quarterback. But you know what? Maybe I'll check in and watch, a CFL game or two this season if, Johnny Manziel's there, make it exciting.
As long as Colin Kaepernick doesn't go there, because that guy deserves to be in the NFL, and that's going to be a talk later, I guess. Will he ever replace Blake Bortles now? Will I ever get my wish? Probably not, because Blake Bortles is playing one of the final games of the season. Fellas, this has been In the Pocket. Right on dot with an hour. The editors are going to love that. Scott Nason, the board operator tonight. I want to give him a special shout-out and say thanks for your editing and your skills and everything you do for the Sioux side of the Game Sports Show. And to the beautiful Alicia White, the extremely beautiful Alicia White, for being a great waitress as always. She just brought us a nice pizza here from Sportscenter Bar and Grill, and for all the Molson products she brought out for us. Dane, Justin, I want to say thanks as always for coming. Tomorrow, we got a show at Boston Pizza. We got another show where we'll be there by 9:15, recording by 9:30. No special guests to show up tomorrow. We have a pre-recorded guest. Joey Miller is going to be pre-recording, the assistant GM of the Sioux Thunderbirds. Before till next week, where we plan to have some special Sioux Greyhound guests come on, and we also have some plated and confirmed guests coming on the show in the very near future. Tyler Kennedy and Paul Maurice have confirmed that they're going to be on the show as well. So that's for the Thursday portion. So to give you a quick recap, Monday live, 95.1. We'll be here Wednesdays at Sportscenter Bar and Grill at 9:30, and Mondays at 6 till 8. And for Thursdays, we are 9:30 to 10:30 at Boston Pizza talking hockey. So make sure to come on to Boston Pizza tomorrow for their half-price bar rails and their half-price apps. While we're there, you'll see us, myself, Dane, and Justin in the back corner. And make sure to tune in to our website, www.thegamesportshow.com. Still under construction, planned to be completed by the end of the month. We have all the older shows. We'll have all the About Us. We'll have all the sponsors. Have all trivias. And we're going to be introducing trivias there on behalf of Boston Pizza and Sportscenter Bar and Grill trivias as well. So, guys, Justin, you're there tomorrow. Dane, you're there tomorrow. Make sure to tune in. And thanks for listening to the In the Pocket segment. Dustin and Jamie, hope you're proud as we quarterbacked, subbed in, taking over the show for tonight. Big games coming up this week, the Final Four. And when we come here next week, we're going to be talking about the Super Bowl matchup. That will be blank versus blank in Minnesota. You got our predictions. What are yours? Let us know. You can look at me on Twitter at David J.R. McCaig, or on Facebook, David McCaig Jr., to discuss sports or even give me your predictions. And like I said, we're going to have trivias, so make sure to look at the website or listen to the show for trivia to answer questions and win gift cards and prizes from here at Sportscenter Bar and Grill, from Boston Pizza and the Wicked Sister. Guys, thanks for coming in. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We're going to be wrapping up the show here on the In the Pocket segment of Sportscenter Bar and Grill, a special edition of the Game Sports Show. To all out there, have a good night, and we'll be talking to you tomorrow night.